While I was on holidays, PlayStation decided to buy Bungie for $3.6 billion US. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I was gutted that I was away on holidays while this news dropped. Huge acquisition made by Sony. They bring Bungie, former Xbox studio, into Sony Interactive Entertainment for a sweet $3.6 billion US. We're going to get into it and discuss all the nitty-gritty details that have come from this news piece, all the interviews that Jim Ryan, Herman Hulst, and Pete Parsons have been doing, providing some really interesting tidbits on how this acquisition is going to affect PlayStation. More importantly, exactly the kind of, I suppose, benefit that Bungie is going to be providing to Sony overall. And I think there is so much here that no one would have seen coming. We're going to head over to the PlayStation blog now and take a look. Written January 31st, 2022, Bungie is joining PlayStation. This is penned by President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan himself, legendary developer, to join PlayStation as independent multi-platform studio and publisher. Today, I'm happy to announce Bungie will be joining the PlayStation family. First off, I want to be very clear to the community that Bungie will remain an independent and multi-platform studio and publisher. As such, we believe it makes sense for it to sit alongside the PlayStation Studios organization, and we are incredibly excited about the opportunities for synergies and collaboration between these two world-class groups. I've spent a lot of time with Pete Parsons, Jason Jones, and the Bungie management team to develop the right relationships where they will be fully backed and supported by Sony Interactive Entertainment and enabled to do what they do best, build incredible worlds that captivate millions of people. So interesting that Bungie won't be a part of PlayStation Studios, in the same way that Bluepoint, Housemarque, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica are. They sit alongside PlayStation Studios as a part of Sony Interactive Entertainment, but still functioning alongside those other first-party teams. Really interesting stuff. I suppose in a similar way that when Bethesda and Activision are brought in under Microsoft's wing, they aren't labeled as Xbox Game Studios in that sense. The team at Raven Software or Arcane aren't Xbox Game Studios in the same way that Obsidian, Playground, The Initiative are as well. So they kind of sit under the same umbrella, but again, labeled just something completely differently, retaining that independence, if you will. Jim continues here. Bungie's world-class expertise in multi-platform development and live game services will help us deliver on our vision of expanding PlayStation to hundreds of millions of gamers. Bungie is a great innovator and has developed incredible proprietary tools that will help PlayStation Studios achieve new heights under Herman Hulst's leadership. And here are a few words from Herman about this exciting acquisition and what it means for gamers. I'm absolutely thrilled to announce a new member will be joining the PlayStation family. I've been a fan of Bungie for many years. I have admired and enjoyed the games that they create and have a great respect for their skill in building worlds that gamers want to explore again and again. Bungie makes games with outstanding technology that are enormously fun to play. They also have unmatched dedication to the communities that play their games, and everyone at PlayStation and PlayStation Studios will be excited about what we can share and learn from them. I've spent a great deal of time with the senior team at Bungie, and it is clear their experience and skills are highly complementary to our own. We'll be ready to welcome and support Bungie as they continue to grow, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for this incredible team. And then a few words from Pete Parsons, CEO of Bungie. We believe games have limitless potential, and that to do anything worthwhile in entertainment, we must bet big on our vision, on our studio, and on our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people. In Sony, we have found a partner who unconditionally supports us in all that we are and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Like us, Sony believes that game worlds are only the beginning of what our IPs can become. Together, we share a dream of creating and fostering iconic franchises that unite friends around the world, families across generations, and fans across multiple platforms and entertainment mediums. Today, Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company. And then just a point on creative freedom. Since taking flight in 1991, Bungie has always charted the future with our own star map, a path that is driven by our people and our community. We are continuing that journey with new worlds in development, and we can't wait to share them with you. With Sony, the potential for our universes is unlimited. Our future games will take bold steps into unexplored spaces for Bungie, continue to push the boundaries of what is possible, and will always be built on a foundation of creating meaningful, lifelong friendships and memories. We remain in charge of our destiny. We'll continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games, and we will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. With Sony's support, the most immediate change you will see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. If this speaks to you and you want to help us put a dent in the universe, we are hiring across all disciplines for Destiny 2 and for all new worlds beyond. Let's move on now to an article by GamesIndustry.biz written by managing editor Brendan Sinclair, which has some interesting bits and pieces that have been pulled out from an interview that GamesIndustry.biz did with Pete Parsons, CEO of Bungie, and Jim Ryan. We have some choice quotes here. From Jim Ryan, it says, "We've had a strong partnership with Bungie since the inception of the Destiny franchise, and I couldn't be more thrilled to officially welcome the studio to the PlayStation family. This is an important step in our strategy to expand the reach of PlayStation to a much wider audience. We understand how vital Bungie's community is to the studio and look forward to supporting them as they remain independent and continue to grow. Like Bungie, our community is core to PlayStation's DNA, and our shared passion for the gamer and building the best place to play will now evolve even further." A quote now from Pete Parsons from Bungie, quote, "Both Bungie and SIE believe that Game Wars are only the beginning of what our IP will become," Parsons said. "Our original universes have immense potential, and with SIE's support, we will propel Bungie into becoming a global multimedia entertainment company dedicated to delivering on our creative vision," end quote. Then we have the full interview from Jim Ryan and Pete Parsons over on GamesIndustry.biz. All these articles are linked in the description below, guys, so if you please do go check them out. They're fantastic. I think they really shine a light on exactly what these deals mean for both Bungie and Sony Interactive. I'm going to pull a couple of really interesting quotes here. The first big one coming from Jim Ryan, speaking about Bungie retaining, its independence and its future games being multi-platform. Let's get into it. Quote, "The first thing to say unequivocally is that Bungie will stay an independent multi-platform studio and publisher. Pete and I have spoken about many things over recent months, and this was one of the first and actually easiest and most straightforward conclusions we reached together. Everybody wants extremely large Destiny 2 community, whatever platform they're on, to be able to enjoy their Destiny 2 experiences, and that approach will apply to future Bungie releases. That is unequivocal. Bungie will operate autonomously within the Sony Interactive Entertainment organization, and they'll continue to publish on other platforms. We get the importance of this. We have grown studios organically, but we've also made a number of acquisitions over the years, whether it's Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, Sucker Punch, or most recently Insomniac. We understand how important it is to give these great organizations the space and independence while bolstering that with the great support when and where that's needed." He continues a bit further down. "Pete and I have spent a lot of time talking, and we were struck by how similarly we see the world and just how complementary our two organizations are. We're like two pieces of jigsaw that can slot together. They make massive, immersive games that have no end, whereas PlayStation's strength, as you know, is in the single-player narrative-rich stories. Our studios make those games, and they are some of the best you'll find anywhere." Continuing, "I've been on record talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. This can take many forms, and definitely one of the main ones is the ability for the wonderful games we've been making over the past 25 years to be enjoyed in different places and played in different ways. We are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that. We have an aggressive roadmap with live services and the opportunity to work with and particularly learn from the brilliant and talented people from Bungie. That is going to considerably accelerate the journey we find ourselves on. Philosophically, this isn't about pulling things into the PlayStation world. This is about building huge and wonderful new worlds together." I think that's probably one of the most important quotes out of this entire interview. Philosophically, this isn't about pulling things into the PlayStation world. This is about building huge and wonderful new worlds together. There are more great quotes from that article, and there are things on Bungie's side that we're going to get into, but I want to address, I think, one of the biggest elements of this entire acquisition, and that is the fact that Bungie remains independent and all of their games, including their future titles, will be multi-platform. Now, there's been a lot of speculation around the fact that, multi-platform could just mean PlayStation and PC. That would be the definition of being multi-platform, right? You release something on PlayStation and you release something on PC. The very first sentence in that article on the PlayStation blog was, "First and foremost, we want to stress that Bungie will remain multi-platform." I don't think you do that unless you want to clearly communicate that nothing is going to change around where Bungie's games release, and that means they're likely to stay on Xbox. Now, the crazy thing about that is they just spent $3.6 billion US. And, I've been on record here saying that, on the Xbox side of things, you don't spend $7.5 billion to buy Bethesda and keep things the way they are. You don't spend $70 billion on Activision Blizzard to keep things the way they are and put the games you now own on competitor consoles. I don't understand why PlayStation has just spent $3.6 billion and aren't taking advantage of the fact that they have one of the most talented studios in the world now under their wing and not using that to attract more people to the PlayStation ecosystem. I understand the perspective that they need the technical know-how and the skills and the experience from the almost 1,000 strong team at Bungie to help PlayStation build up its live service and multiplayer offerings. I just don't think you needed to spend $3.6 billion to do that. Yes, now you own the Destiny IP and everything that comes along with it. You can take advantage of the Destiny IP and whatever comes from Bungie later on, like the new IP that they're currently building, and leverage that in other ways, like via Sony Pictures. You know, you can make TV shows, movies, merchandise, all that fantastic transmedia stuff, control and produce it all in-house and then sell it off to the highest bidder if you like, via, you know, streaming services and that sort of thing. So there is certainly more here than just spending $3.6 billion on owning games and the studio behind them, okay? But still, we're talking about $3.6 billion. That is almost half of what Microsoft paid for ZeniMax, which got them 2,000 new developers, 8 new studios, a dozen IPs where Bungie's bringing across Destiny and then their new IP that's, you know, due to come out in a couple of years' time. And all of those games on the ZeniMax side of things are going to be exclusive to Xbox and that ecosystem. The fact that PlayStation isn't leveraging that is just really confusing. So many people, including myself, have, you know, understood and assumed that if PlayStation is going to buy someone, that they're going to, you know, implement their walled garden approach, where if you want to play these games that are developed by PlayStation, the cost is you need to buy a ticket at the gate. If you want to be, you know, experience a new game from Bluepoint or Housemarque or, you know, Firesprite for that matter, or any of their fantastic first-party studios, you got to get a PlayStation console, or nowadays wait a bit and then experience it later on PC. So this goes completely against PlayStation's strategy up until this point, and that's why it's so fascinating. Anyway, well, there's going to be more to get into, but I just wanted to put that out there. Back to the article. Pete Parsons, CEO of Bungie, quote, "Back in 2016, we set out a vision for ourselves to create worlds and inspire friendships. We want to become one of the world's great entertainment companies, and more than that, become a center of creative and technical excellence, so that no matter who you are, where you're from, how you identify, you can feel like you can come to Bungie and do your best work. Even though we've been working together since 2013 with Destiny 1, it was remarkable how close Sony and our visions were. You can't help but look at Sony's accomplishments, not just as a great platform, but having easily some of the best development teams in the entire world, but also one of the greatest entertainment companies in the world. We saw this great opportunity to build not just Destiny, we're working on more than Destiny, these great interactive experiences which we think we're good at, but also being able to explore these worlds even more." We head down a bit further, there's a fantastic quote from Jim Ryan. It goes like this: "I would back us to do live service games ourselves, but when you have the potential to have a partner like Bungie, who has been there, done it all before, learned the lessons, and have got this wonderful, brilliant team who is there and has the potential to help us, we think we can take something that would have taken a certain number of years and significantly decrease the time it will take to get it right." This quote is fantastic. I love this from Jim because he's identifying on the PlayStation side of things, we are not good at this stuff. We don't know how to produce or organize ourselves internally within the studios to produce a game that lives on for years and years and years and constantly delivers these live service updates, right? Bungie knows how to do that. And yeah, like you said, they could have backed themselves to go and learn that stuff and try and take learnings externally from what they see Rare doing with Sea of Thieves, or Epic doing with Fortnite, or Ubisoft doing with Rainbow Six Siege, and apply those learnings themselves. But now they have that technical know-how in-house. That's something they can ramp up really, really quickly. In this sense, it's a really great use of Sony's own raw resources, to go acquire Bungie and bring that and fast track that knowledge within the studio's organizations. It's not too dissimilar to how I see Xbox bringing in studios that know how to do fantastic single-player games like Obsidian, Ninja Theory, In Exile, a lot of the Bethesda studios as well. Xbox identified, hey, we're not good at this stuff. We don't have the teams to go make these, you know, story-driven single-player games. That's a big weakness in our portfolio. Let's go acquire some people to go fill that gap. And then an interesting quote from Jim at the very bottom of the interview. Quote, "We should absolutely expect more," he concludes. "We are by no means done with PlayStation. We have a long way to go. I will personally be spending a lot of time with Pete and the team at Bungie, helping make sure that everything beds down right and that autonomy means autonomy. But elsewhere in the organization, we have many more moves to make. I'll probably do a separate video discussing what this could mean for PlayStation's future acquisitions. This is their largest gaming acquisition to date, I think. So it'll be interesting to see if these new acquisitions, these future acquisitions that Jim is referring to are larger. Could we see Sony acquire a publisher in the same way that Microsoft has done with Activision and ZeniMax? We're just gonna have to find out. I'll make another video talking about what I expect to see come from this. I must say, I'm really excited by what this future for PlayStation looks like. I've been critical in the past of PlayStation's very narrow offering of first-party games. You know, they are masters of the single-player narrative-driven cinematic games, but we haven't seen a truly different game from PlayStation Studios really explode in popularity like those titles. You know, I'm thinking things like Destruction All-Stars didn't take off in a way that they wanted to, right? Way back when, even games that offered multiplayer experiences like Mag, Killzone, Resistance, they didn't, you know, light the world on fire. Now that we have Bungie in-house at PlayStation, we have second-party relationships with the likes of Deviation and Firewalk and Haven, you know, starting to play in this space as well. We see the job listings for multiplayer experiences at Insomniac. Obviously, Naughty Dog's working on The Last of Us faction. We have Guerrilla Games hiring for multiplayer projects as well. Now that we have a concerted effort from PlayStation to really address the lack of meaningful multiplayer experiences inside their ecosystem, the fact that one day Call of Duty might not be available as a PlayStation game outside of Warzone, that becomes less of a scary future for PlayStation when they have these other meaningful multiplayer experiences that they can offer to their player base. I also think this is a great move for Project Spartacus as well. We don't have details yet on what that service looks like, but the more that Sony can lean on live service games that continue to be updated over a longer period of time, you can attract a player base, you can retain them with new content, and you can keep them subscribed to whatever service you're offering, and whatever service or tier of that service delivers new content to those experiences. So I think overall this is a really great get for PlayStation. I'm really excited by what this offers and what this can mean for the future of PlayStation Studios and their first party offerings. I'm still very confused about why they spent $3.6 billion and then not leveraging any kind of exclusivity for these games. I think it's really interesting. I think the future of PlayStation is now even more opaque than it's ever been. Jim Ryan's talking about reaching hundreds of million players, PlayStation pushing into that multi-platform space. What does that mean for all of their other offerings, and what does that mean for the future of the ecosystem that they're carving for themselves? You know, right now they're focused on hardware sales, making sure that they boost the number of the PlayStation 5 units currently out in the wild, so they obviously can sell more games to more customers. But this is throwing a really interesting spanner in the works. I'm really keen to see what these next acquisitions from PlayStation are going to be. Again, I'll do another video of that in the near future. And I think this is the first chapter in a very interesting story on where Jim Ryan and the senior leadership at PlayStation are really going to take the brand in the next 5-10 years and beyond. Anyway, let me know what you think of PlayStation's acquisition of Bungie in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That would really help out the channel. We're about to hit 100 subscribers, which I'm really excited about. There'll be plenty of more content on the way, guys. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.